back. I can't see you anymore. For some reason, you've disappeared from my screen. But so I just want to check whether your video's camera is off or on.
It's still on, Merel. And quite a few people have joined us with the videos on as well.
Yeah, no worries. I can see Michelle and Alexandra, but yeah. So don't, yeah. All right, thank you so much for joining us today. I'm going to be sharing my PowerPoint that I created. And yes, absolutely do ask questions throughout the session. That will be slightly easier for me because at the end I might have forgotten a little bit what I've talked about because of the long COVID. So let me just go to my presentation, and do let me know also if at any point something goes wrong in my presentation, of like you can't see it, then I will hopefully be able to fix that. So hopefully you can see this on my screen. So just a quick overview. I'll do.
Can't see anything at the moment, Merel. Sorry to interrupt. I don't know if you've shared yet, but we can't. We could before.
That's maybe, Merel, if you try sharing the screen instead of the window, let's see if that helps. If not, you could send it to me in the chat and maybe I could help facilitate the process.
Do you want me to share the entire screen, you mean?
Yeah. Teams can be a bit finicky like that. That's, yeah, it's no worries. Everyone here has probably experienced this before.
Can you see it, what I'm sharing?
No.
No, not yet. Maybe if you send it to me in the chat, would you be okay with me controlling the screen?
That's fine. So I need to send you my PowerPoint, you mean?
Yes, please. Yeah. And everyone else, this was actually fine. Merel tested it before the session and it worked. So Teams must have just changed its mind. But we should get that started shortly.
Yeah, it worked a few minutes ago. I'm not sure what happened.
Exactly. Oh, technology. Oh, whilst we wait for that to be sorted, I'd just like to point out that Merel has 2 other people who will be joining us, right, Merel?
Let's try again.
And let's see. Okay, and I have this on here. Okay. Can everyone see this?
Yes.
Cool.
Do you see the note side of it as well, or do you only see the?
We do.
I can't see it on my screen.
Oh no.
It's all right. I can do it from my own PowerPoint. It's fine.
Okay.
Yeah, just ignore my notes. Don't look at my notes, please.
Let me get rid of the note side of things.
I have absolutely no idea why happening.
We can't see it now. I don't know if you did something.
Oh yeah, I did. Is it better now?
Perfect. No notes, full screen.
Okay. Long COVID quiz. We're currently on the first page, Merel. So please go ahead.
All right. Would you mind clicking through to overview?
Okay.
Overview. Is that on there?
Yeah, it is.
Okay, amazing. So yeah, so I'll do a very brief introduction now about like who I am, what long COVID is for those of you who might not have come across it before, or yeah. Then I'll introduce, do a bit of an introduction about the choirs, how they came about, and then about the choir sessions and how they work. And I've got some videos throughout really, and participants joining in as well. So we have Marijke, who is here joining us from Germany. She's part of the Long COVID choir. And then later on, we'll have carers joining us from the Long COVID Kids choir. So she is a teenager. And then I'll take you through a little bit about like the benefits of singing, and everything that I use is I'm using resources that are already out there, basically. So I'm not a researcher, although I'd love to research this particular topic, as you can imagine. But all the material I'm using are things that you can find on the internet already that have been published. I did include all the links to that as well in my notes. So I can share those maybe at the end of the session. And also to highlight that when I talk about myself a little bit about my long COVID, just want to highlight that I'm not a medical person, but I'm sort of just sharing a little bit about like what we've sort of discovered, because it sort of helps to understand long COVID a little bit better. But I'd like to start with, if you would be okay to click through to the next slide. Am I there? Is it on there? Just
yes, we are.
Perfect. Sorry, because I'm looking at my own screen, really. I'd like to start with a song that the Long COVID Kids Choir composed together with a very talented singer-songwriter called Frankie Moreland, who is 13 years old. And we wrote together a song called Roller Coaster, as you can see. And this is about what it is like to be living with long COVID as a child and a young person, and also what is like to be part of the choir and what the choir sort of brings to us. And as you can see, I've put the lyrics on the screen. So it says, like, sometimes I feel I'm stuck in a brain fog, and we feel lost, and we feel overcome with frustration, don't have any control. And I think very sort of, yeah, important that we don't feel like a normal child anymore. And yeah, with the question there, why don't I feel like a normal child like everybody else? So we sort of worked on this song, or my decision to have the choir sort of composing this song is because I wanted to give them a platform to express their feelings about it in a slightly different way than what we do in a session normally with mindfulness and singing along to songs, but actually using their own words and getting that out there. And also, yeah, just having the enjoyment of working on a project like this. And seeing sort of how it develops, and working together with Frankie, which was really a brilliant collaboration. So, Emanuela, would you be okay to click on that YouTube link?
Okay.
Fingers crossed it works.
Of course. Sorry, there was just a minute there where the screen stopped sharing, but I corrected that now. Let's just go. Okay. And can everyone see my screen?
Yes.
It's a little bit.
So it kicks in after a bit. There's the red curtain now.
Yeah, that's correct. Yeah, it takes a little while. I love a red curtain.
We can't hear any sound on the video.
No, there won't be yet, I think.
Can you hear it now?
No.
Can you hear it now?
No, it's probably that thing that I always get wrong when I'm trying to share YouTubes and I can't remember what you're supposed to do, but it gives you an option to share audio or something. Merel, you'll know more than me or Dawn.
Yeah. Okay, I've clicked on that, so it should be on. Let's try again.
Again, it worked when I first logged into the call earlier.
Can you hear it now?
No.
Okay. I think Team just hates us today. Because this worked literally a few minutes ago. Let me stop sharing Then try again. Okay. Can we see my screen?
Yes.
Okay. Can you hear the sound?
Perfect.
Yay.
Sometimes I feel like I'm stuck in a brain fog. We feel lost, often we feel overcome with frustration. No control, I feel like a normal child, like everybody else. Life's a constant roller coaster, climbing higher on the belt. Sometimes I feel like I'm sad, so hopeless. Oh, we should be proud, happy to be in this choir, voices soaring. We're set free, why don't I feel like a normal child, like everybody else? Life's a constant roller coaster, climbing higher on the belt. Sometimes I feel like I'm stuck in a brain fog. We feel lost, often we feel overcome with frustration. No control, why don't I feel like a normal child, like everybody else? Life's a constant roller coaster, climbing higher on the belt.
Thank you so much for sharing that. Yeah, every time I hear it, it's a very emotional song, really. And I'm very proud of the choir for having done this. Talking about the Long COVID Kids Choir, Manuela, I just got a message from Keris, who's joining us, that she can't get in. So I just wondered whether she might be in a waiting room. Yeah, just mentioning that.
She should just try joining once more and I'll let her in.
Okay, thank you. I will just let her know very quickly. Okay, I've just WhatsApped her. Cool. Thank you. I'll keep an eye on that as well. And then if it's okay to click through to the next slide, then I will go through that quite quickly. Just a little bit about who I am, really. But so, yeah, I'm Merel Van Der Knoop, as you know. I'm from the Netherlands originally. Came to London in 2006 to continue studying here at the Guildhall School of Music. I'm 42, although I keep thinking like I can't remember sometimes my age. Freelance musician, slightly on hold, especially in my performing work, which is non-existent due to long COVID. And my initial COVID infection was in December 2021. Actually, not on the 21st, I realized, on the 23rd, the day before Christmas. So yeah, I've had long COVID for quite some time. And sort of what I'm mentioning here sort of links in with what I'm going to just talk about like what long COVID is. And I thought it might be worth mentioning sort of the things that were diagnosed for me, which is, as you can see, inflammation of the heart muscle, inflammation of the pericardium, which is the fluid around the heart, and endothelial dysfunction, which is damage to the lining of the blood vessels. And there was also dysfunctional breathing. This was all diagnosed by tests like scans. and sort of the effect it has on me, like lots of different things in my body. I'm not the only one out there who's experiencing all those sort of symptoms. But yeah, it just requires a lot of adjusting of your life. It's affecting my whole body, and there's lots of things that I can't do anymore. But I'm very happy that I can run the choirs. So I think that's enough about me for now. And then if we then go on to the what is long COVID slide. So yeah, it's sort of, you can really read it on the screen anyway, but it's in the, an umbrella term to describe the symptoms, which are very fluctuating. Many people make a full recovery, but also for many people, symptoms can last longer. And you can have a long COVID after a mild or even symptom-free illness. And as you will find out by sort of watching the videos about the choirs, it affects people of all ages and previous levels of health and fitness, and including children and adolescents. And I think based on the ONS data, that in 2023, there were about 62,000 children in the UK with long COVID. And they estimate that in March 2024, in England and Scotland only, there were more than 111,000. So loads of children out there who are suffering from this. And then if you could go on to the next slide. Thank you. So yeah, as I said, like symptoms can affect any part of the body, and of course that makes it really difficult to participate in society as you used to do. And I think that's why the choirs are such a important thing to do. So provide a safe space for people to join in with things that they love doing. And I guess if connected to what I mentioned about what they found in my body was that, it can be a vascular disease as well. So not a respiratory disease as originally thought. Cool. And then if we go on to the next slide. Oh, no, not yet. Sorry. There was a video there that I wanted to show, but I think let's not do that, just also time-wise, because Karis is here, I think, and she will need to leave in about 10-ish minutes. So we might just play that video at the end. So if we then could go on to the next slide about the long COVID choir. So I can't see anyone on my screen, so I'm looking at my PowerPoint, but I hope everything is still okay.
It is.
Amazing, thank you. So the long COVID choir was formed in March 2021 by people with long COVID to bring some light in the darkness to others living with the debilitating effects of the condition. One of the people who formed it is actually here today, Claire. I'm so glad that you're here today, Claire. It's lovely to see you. And the choir is accessible even to those who may be housebound or bedridden. And yes, during the sessions, even myself as well, sometimes we join in from our sofas or beds. Really depends on how we're feeling. You can see on my list, we do a variety of musical styles, or we sing, a variety of musical styles. No auditions, so anyone can join really, and really you don't have to have any singing experience at all. And not even a need to be able to read music. And we also have a chat at the end, but we also chat during the session. We do recording projects, including a collaboration with the Long COVID Kids Choir last year for Long COVID Awareness Day in March. When I have the energy and time, I create some videos that people can access in their own time. It is always my aim to do more of that, but yeah, I'm quite limited on energy as well. And I think the lovely thing about the choir is that you get to meet so many different people from all over the world. And yeah, it's so important to feel connected with others, especially if you are completely housebound, or in any situation really with long COVID where you have lost a lot of that really. We have a Facebook group as well, in which we post things, and we make it accessible. So the first session is free, and then after that is donation based basically, so that anyone can join us. And we've been featured in magazines and newspapers and podcasts, even a letter from the royal family, from someone from the royal family. And I try to be quite active in that really, to make sure that everyone knows that we're out there. Also, do feel free to interrupt me if you have a question, or if there's anything in the chat about a question, because I'm looking at my PowerPoint, so I can't see it. And then anything else I had? Nope. I think happy for you, Manuela, to click through to the Long COVID Kids Choir.
With that.
Thank you. And I wondered if you wouldn't mind clicking on that YouTube video, because in this video, we have recorded ourselves, well, not me, but Clara and Caitlin have recorded themselves reading out their paragraph from the article that they wrote together with Keris for First News, which is a UK newspaper for kids. So in that video, you will hear Clara reading her paragraph, and then Caitlin, and then I will read Keris's afterwards. And this is about what it's like what we do in the choir, basically.
Ready when you are. Can everyone else see the presentation? Yeah.
The Long COVID Kids LCK Choir is made up of children with long COVID from all around the world. There are children from the UK, the Netherlands, and USA who all have long COVID. Merel Van Der Knoop leads the choir, and she makes the experience very welcoming and fun.
During choir, we check in with each other and chat. We do breathing exercises and mindfulness to start, and sometimes tongue twisters. Then we sing songs. Merel asks us for song suggestions. We have themed weeks and can dress up in accessories like sun hats or Santa hats, depending on the theme.
Thank you, Emanuela. And then I'll read Keris's paragraph that she wrote for this, which is, choir is a highlight of our week. Merel is funny, kind, and always chats with us. She understands what it is like to have long COVID. So it doesn't matter if we are not full of energy. We have all made new friends and enjoy singing together. Choir is brilliant. So thank you to Keris and Caitlin and Clara for writing that article together, which was published at the start of January, I think, of this year. I think it's important that they have a say in what we do, and that they can express themselves in many different ways, really. So if the slide of the long COVID, yeah, it's on, isn't it? Yeah, so as you can see, the sessions are aimed at children and young people living with long COVID, or even young people caring for a parent or a caregiver with long COVID. And again, there's a lot of overlap with the long COVID choir in terms of sort of how it's run. So again, no experience is required at all. Anyone can join. There's no auditions. And we have a WhatsApp group as well, because I felt like it's we know each other for such a long time now. Some of the children have been coming for a long time, and it's nice to be able to check in with each other outside of the sessions. So we have a WhatsApp group. We've done many recording projects, and again, it is worldwide. So we have participants from the US and from the Netherlands, just like the Long COVID Choir, who has participants from Germany, China, even France, literally all across the world. Just like with the Long COVID Choir, the Kids Choir is, we try to make it accessible for everyone. So there are payment options, including no payment at all. And we have guest artists. So what we do is I invite other children to come and perform to us, so that we have this sense of being part of a performance, because often it's not always easy to go somewhere to watch something. So that then brings me actually to Karis. So Karis, thank you so much for being here with us. And Emanuela, would you mind clicking through to the next screen about like the session? And you can see that we do a lot of things in this session, but everything is optional. So the children just decide what they want to join in with, really. Let me just see where I had my questions for Karis, because Karis is here to answer some questions. But I'm just trying to find out, Karis, where I put those questions, because I am now on a different screen. So just give me a second. Oh yeah, I put them here. Are you okay to answer some questions, Karis?
Yeah.
Amazing. Thank you so much.
Would you want me to stop sharing?
Oh, yes. Cool. And if at any point, Karis, you don't want to give an answer to the question, then you just can let me know. Yeah? Okay. So, Karis, how has long COVID affected you or impacted your life if you compare it to like before you had long COVID?
I can't go to school anymore, and I use a wheelchair, and I get very tired, and it's caused lots of other things.
Yeah.
And I don't have as many friends now.
So then what does being part of the choir mean to you?
It means I can make friends, and everyone understands what it's like. And if you're not feeling well one week, you don't have to go.
Yeah.
And it's nice to be in the WhatsApp group because we always chat.
Yeah, exactly. And how has being part of the choir impacted you? If you think, for example, about the exercises that we do, are you able to take anything with them?
It helps me with breathing exercises, and it makes me feel calmer and happier. And I always look forward to it.
Yeah. I think you mentioned the other day that your favorite breathing exercise is the one where we inhale like we pretend we have a flower in our hand, and we inhale smelling the scent of the flower, and then we exhale pretending we're blowing out a candle.
Yeah, and you get to choose the color of the flower and the candle.
Yeah, exactly. So we use a lot of imagination as well, which is great.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think maybe one more question, which is like, maybe you just answered it. I can't remember. Sorry. If there are any parts of the choir session that you enjoy the most, and why, or does it depend on how you're feeling during the session?
I like the breathing exercises because I often do them outside of the choir, and
Yeah.
I also like chatting to everyone in chats and things like that. And I know quite a few of them outside the choir too. And two people from there go to guides with me as well. So we're friends outside the choir as well.
Thank you. Yeah, so it sounds like you've really sort of created or have been able to create a community.
Yeah.
It's lovely. Yeah. Were there any particular songs that we've been doing in choir that you enjoyed?
I like the Still I Fly one. And I like being able to teach the BSL signs to like the main words in the song.
Yeah. Yeah, because for those of you don't know, I haven't mentioned that really, but we do signs as well, and Keris knows BSL, or she learns it, so she's the one who helps us with that. So I'm learning too, which is brilliant. So, but that gives us an option, doesn't it, Keris, that if we feel too tired to sing, for example, or to focus on words, we can have the signs.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then I guess sometimes we sing in a different language as well. We did something in Ukrainian a while ago.
We did Twinkle Twinkle Little Star, because I've got a Ukrainian friend and I've been learning the language.
Yeah.
And she came along and helped us with the pronunciation.
You did, yeah. Thank you. Is there anything else you'd like to mention, Keris, that I haven't asked you about?
Thanks.
Cool. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you.
And for sharing your experiences. I think that's really valuable that we hear your voice and as of the others as well, because you're the ones that we're running the choir for. So
thank you.
You're welcome. I don't know if there are any questions from anyone else, and also whether carers would like to answer them, of course. But if they're not, I will just go through sort of what else we do in a session. I know Keris has mentioned a few things already. But we always check in.
There might be a question, and there are people in the chat just saying thank you to you, Keris, for sharing that.
Cool.
And Dawn, please go ahead.
Hi, Keris. Was it you that wrote the song for the Long COVID Kids Choir?
No.
It wasn't. Okay. I could. Merel did tell us who it was, but I can't remember now. But I just wanted to.
Do you mean the roller coaster song, Dawn?
The roller coaster song, yeah.
Yeah. So I'm sure, Keris, that you will have come up with lyrics ideas, because that's what we did, wasn't it? Like everyone could give their input in the lyric writing.
We thought of words that describe long COVID.
Exactly. So it was a collaboration.
Okay. Well, I just wanted to say to you, and also everybody else in the Long COVID Kids Choir, that was just such an excellent piece of music. And I wondered how it felt kind of putting that together and singing it.
Thank you.
How was it for you, Keris, putting that together? Did you enjoy
what was the experience like? How did it feel doing that?
I really enjoyed it, and it was really good because I was learning the signs for it mainly. I don't think I sang much of it, but I did mostly just the signs. So
yeah, that's what you. I knew you had, you know, a significant role in that, and Merel probably did tell us earlier, but because of my own long COVID brain, I'd forgotten. But no, that, you know, that was fantastic. Really enjoyed listening to that, and you know, and just hearing all your voices and seeing you all, and you know, just it was really brilliantly put together. And you should all be just so proud of yourselves and each other.
thank you.
Thank you, Dawn. That's so kind. I know carers will have to leave in a moment because she's got home tutoring quite soon, haven't you, Carers? So I don't want you to be late for that. So I
Thank
guess
you.
you're welcome.
Thanks, Caris. It was brilliant to hear from you.
Bye, Carers. Great. Let me just see where I am on my screen. Yeah, so well, yeah, there's not much I think that I need to add on to this, apart from that it's the same with the long COVID choir as well. Try to give lots of options in the things that we do. So with the breathing exercises, with the gentle stretching, with the vocal warm-ups, and even people don't have to join in at all if they don't want to. They can switch their video camera off and just listen or leave earlier. It's incredibly flexible. Yeah, I mean, even myself, sometimes I'm not completely up to speed with things because of my own sort of long COVID. So, and it's great to be in a space really where that is okay and that people understand. And I think especially because if I just sort of relate it to myself as a musician, not being able to do all my performance work, which included conducting as well, is nice to be able to have that online space where I can still access some of that, but where there also is not, there's no pressure to deliver something perfect in that instance. So it works both ways, really. I found a community too, which is really nice. And then with the kids, I try to make it educational as well. So we discuss a lot of topics, and that often comes up when we have a theme for our session. So the other day we had space, because they're all like into space. They love it. So we talked about the galaxy and everything around that. And then we sing songs that are connected to that. So I found some lovely songs about space on a BBC website. And then it is actually in the YouTube link, but I'm just checking the time. Yeah, I think we can do a little bit of that. So in the video, it's a long video, so let's not play everything of it, but maybe just a beginning. We are starting to work on a song called Moon Steps. And it's a combination of a bit of singing, but also talking. And Karis is doing her sign language on the words moon steps. So I think Emanuela maybe play 2 or 3 minutes, 2 minutes of it perhaps. I can't remember exactly how long it is, but no need to play the whole thing.
See my screen already?
We could, and now we can't again. And now we can again.
Okay.
Yes. All right, let's have a listen.
Moon steps, moon steps, moon steps, moon steps. From the face of the earth, from land and sea, new voyages of discovery. Moon steps, 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 moon steps.
From wheels and wings to rocket roar, new worlds to reach, yes, let's explore.
Moon steps, 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 moon steps.
With spacesuits on in astro gear, we travel through Earth's atmosphere.
Moon steps, 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 moon steps.
Go onwards, upwards, seek and find a giant leap for humankind.
Moon steps, 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 moon steps.
So step by step by step we climb, reach up, up, up through space and time.
Moon steps, 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 moon steps.
Thank you.
2 minutes 30.
I think it's okay to stop it there. Yeah, I love this song. It's great. I mean, goodness, it's making me one of the highlights for me really is that I'm getting very good at finding lots of different things that we can do. Like my resources are like have expanded so much. I think more than before I had long COVID because you're trying to get lots of different things. And then what the lovely thing about doing this is that it just brings up so many things that we can do and discuss, and then Karis brings in her sign language, and then we all try that out, and yeah, it makes it very interactive as well, which I think is important, especially because some of the children have been coming to this choir since the beginning that it started, really back in November 2022. And they're going through a transition as well. I mean, they're getting older, and you really notice that their interests change, and their voices change, of course, as well. Yeah, so it's important to keep focusing on that and give them input. Great. I think, Manuela, you can skip through the feedback of participants for now, because I'd love to go on to the long COVID choir slide, which is the one after that. And again, just interrupt me if there's any questions in the chat, or if I need to elaborate on something a bit more. But yes, so the long COVID choir.
Sorry, Merel, I just saw Alexandra's just put something in the chat asking about the process of coming up with lyrics and identifying song themes.
Okay.
Thank you.
Would
That's
it
the
be?
question. That's the question. It's just what is the process of coming up with lyrics and identifying song themes? Yeah, that was it.
And then coming up with lyrics, are you referring to the song that we wrote together with Frankie, the roller coaster?
Yep.
Okay, thank you. So what we did was we were all together, first of all, like in the session, and then we just sort of, and Frankie joined us a couple of times actually. So then he and myself would ask the kids like, could you give us any sort of words that reflect having long COVID for you, or what it's like to be in the choir? Could be words or sentences, and what you'd like other people to know as well and understand about it. And then Frankie would take that away with him, and start sort of, what's the word? Molding it into something, and then he would come back and share that with us, and then we could adjust things in it if we wanted to. We had a very good collaboration in that respect, and even outside of the session, the children could still send their ideas to me as well, and then I would pass them on to Frankie. I hope that answers that question.
Yes, thank you.
Cool. And the other one was the themes. So theme-wise, it's a collaboration again. So in the session, at the end, someone might say, "Oh, could we, do at some point a session about space?" or I come up with like a theme. We've had I think in summer at some point we had a winter theme. Why not? So it's really broad, and or even like with wearing things, or we say like, oh, maybe next session I'll wear my cat ears or something, or it keeps it really fun.
Sounds like fun. Thank you.
You're welcome. No worries. Cool. Yes, I'm so sorry about the dog outside. I don't know if you can hear it, but he's barking.
It's fine, we can't hear it. And
Oh,
so I
amazing.
apologize. I realized that once I'm sharing, I can't see the questions. So if you do post a question, if you just give it a little bit of a shout out. Yep.
Thank you.
We're back. Long COVID choir session screen.
Brilliant. So we do a check-in as well. And I always like to start, and again, it's very similar to the other choir, but with a mindfulness moment. You can call it meditation. It's just connecting to the space that we're in, and our bodies and our breath. And I try to keep that quite varied. So sometimes we use music for that. So we listen to music and try to breathe with the music. Sometimes we do a moment where we listen to the sounds around us, like what can we hear? Anything that just sort of makes us get into that comfortable space, and hopefully not worry too much about other things that might have been going on during the day, or at least having a moment of thinking, coming to ourselves, really. I think especially with long COVID, because so much is happening to our bodies, and you feel like you or personally, like you feel that you don't know your body anymore. Your breathing pattern might be completely disrupted. So there's a lot going on. And I guess that links in then with the breathing exercises that we do. And again, these are always flexible. So I might present it as like we do a breathing exercise 4 times, but it doesn't mean that everyone has to do it 4 times as well. You know your own body, and you feel that maybe after having done 1 set, you might need to have a break, and then you might join in again with the 3rd one, or you leave it as it is. But it's all about trying to, don't really like the word understand our bodies again, but like to find a connection with it. I think that's probably what I mean. And then again, the same for the gentle stretching. I'm very mindful that movement, and even stretching can cause a lot of negative effects on people with long COVID, something called post-exertional malaise. So when you might have done something one day movement-wise, it will hit you maybe a day later, or even straight after, or maybe 2 days later, and then you literally can't do anything anymore. Yeah, so the stretching is very optional as well. Try to connect it to breathing. So sometimes I integrate some Tai Chi or Qigong even. We do some tapping as well, which is really nice. Then we move on to some vocal warm-ups. And every session, it will be a bit different how I run it. So it's not always in that particular order. It's flexible. And I think with the vocal warm-ups, it's really nice that you sort of find out what the voice is able to do, explore sound. And then one of them exercises that we did the other day, and feel free to join in if you want to, is where we sort of imagine that we're chewing a toffee for a little bit, just to sort of awaken those muscles, connecting, releasing tension, and then starting to hum at the same time, and then maybe humming a well-known tune like Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star. So that would then, for example, be like, but really taking the time for it, sliding, even going from humming into like more open sounds. So you could go, which is this, yeah, a really nice way of getting that breath with sound going. And humming is very calming as well. Often it sort of provides entertainment too, because we have pets joining in as well, cats especially, lots of cats, and they always look a bit confused. And dogs, we have dogs joining in too. Yeah, they appear in the screen. It's great to see how you know, or sort of humming exercises and other like things that we do have an effect on pets as well. And I think what might be nice is to, in a moment, share the YouTube video of a song that we did the other day, which I recorded in the session, because song-wise, sometimes we spend a couple of sessions learning a song more in depth, and other times we sing along to a YouTube video of a suggestion of a song that was given by someone or something that I chose. We do call and response, because I think especially on Zoom, you know, it is generally, I would say, not possible to sing together. Although we worked a way around it with this particular video that I'm going to show you. But then, of course, with the call and response, it's nice. You can actually do that unmuted, because I would sing a sentence first and then it would be sung back to me. And it's nice also to hear each other's voices. Again, it's optional, so you don't have to unmute if you don't want to. And that sort of hearing of each other's voices is nice in a way, because, you know, it's the voice is very personal. It's an emotional thing, and especially like when we do recording projects, and those of us that participate in that, I get their recordings sent in to me, and then I listen to them, and it's just so beautiful to hear everyone's voices. and then putting them together, and then we sound as as one, as a choir. It's very, very special.
Would you want me to go ahead and play the video?
Yes, please. Thank you. Sorry, my brain suddenly froze.
So I'm gonna sing through our song. So you can sing along with this if you want, or you can have a little break. 1, 2. I open my arms wide to catch the wind in my sails. I open my arms wide to catch the wind in my sails, and head out on the tide, and head out on the tide, and head out on the tide, and head out on the tide. Beautiful. So let's do our game. This is the fun part, where one of us can be a wave. So the question is, who would like to be a wave in the background?
I can do it if nobody else wants to do it.
Cool, thank you, Claire. So the wave just ebbs and flows. Take a breath when you need it. Don't feel that you need to be a continuous wave. So,
I might have practiced with my circular breathing.
And then those of us who are muted, which is the rest of us, except for me, you can be a wave too if you want, or you can sing with me. I open my arms wide. So we could start here, and then Claire could start a wave whenever she wants. I open my arms wide to catch the wind in my sails. I open my arms wide to catch the wind in my sails, and head out on the tide, and head out on the tide, and head out on the tide, and head out on the tide. That was beautiful. Thank you, Claire, for providing that beautiful wave.
Thank you. My tide's gone out now.
It actually worked, didn't it? And I think it works much better when we have one person doing the waving rather than all of us.
Yeah, I think does the Zoom microphone only pick up one person or something like that, maybe?
Yeah, and then you've got me also coming out through all those different video screens.
Thank you, Manuela. It's really lovely to hear this back act, to be honest. I feel like I'm in the session. And thank you to all of those that were in the session. Oh, an update. Oh, dear. That agreed to be recorded. And thanks, Claire, for being the wave. And I think that brings me then to maybe the next slide, which is feedback from participants. And because we have Marijke in the session here today, and I don't want to make her wait any longer. Sorry, Marijke, to share her experience with us. So I'd be very happy for you, Marijke, if you feel happy to do that now as well. to share. Or whether you'd like me to ask you some questions. I can't quite recall what we
Didn't
said.
Okay, whichever way, maybe you can just prompt me and ask something, and then I'll answer to that.
Cool. It's quite similar to the ones that I asked carers, really. But yeah, just feel free to elaborate on things or yeah, or not answer. So I guess maybe similarly, like how long COVID has impacted your life or affected you.
Okay, let's start with that. So, but just as a like 2 words of introduction, my name is Mareike. I live in Germany, and I came across the choir in 2022 in November, and have been attending mostly regularly ever since, and I really enjoy it. Well, I used to be a linguist. I had a job at a university for 15 years, and I don't have that anymore. And I'm really trying to rebuild my life from scratch, sort of, because with long COVID, my main symptoms are, or have been for the past 2.5 years, extreme fatigue, also PEM, this post-exertional malaise, and POTS, like postural orthostatic tachycardia, that when I stand, I just cannot stand for a longer period of time. And sometimes sitting is hard, but that's gotten so much better, so that's okay now. And so really it's changed mostly everything, but with social relations, it depends. I'm much older than Kara, so I have friends like whom I've had for 20 years or so. So that hasn't been too much of a problem, but really going out and doing things with people is a big problem now. And I used to participate in big choir projects, also quite complex ones, and I miss that. But even if somebody took me to choir practice and back, it's usually at night, it's 1.5 hours. It would be way too much. And this kind of a choir is the perfect opportunity for me to do it from home. And also, as Merel has said repeatedly, there is always the option of just joining in and not even turning your camera on and not singing, just lying on your bed and listening and just being in the company of the other choir participants. And that is sometimes very helpful, because for me, the main, well, what I value most about the choir is that the long COVID choir is that you don't really have to tell people how you are. They know, because they're in the same boat, and that is really helpful on many days.
Thank you so much for sharing that. Yeah, just sort of letting sink in the things that you just said. Yeah. And sort of so like when you're attending a session, are there any particular parts of the session that you feel are really sort of beneficial to you personally, or things that that you take with you? Or
well, the first few months or so, I didn't really enjoy all the breathing exercises and relaxation exercises all that much, because I'm quite, well, I used to be a very active person, and to me that was just, okay, let's start already. But now I'm beginning to see the benefits of it, that I just sometimes taking the time to just focus on your breathing is actually helpful. I didn't know before. Or trying to focus just on what you see around yourself in your room, or what you can hear, just these very simple mindfulness exercises. I just never really enjoyed them, but now, after having been like prompted to do them for more than 2 years at once a week, it's beginning to show its effects, and I'm beginning to see the point, and that is very helpful, because it's calming. And sometimes when I get too emotional over the fact that I've lost so much through long COVID, that it just calms me down, and it also makes me see how much, well, a friend of mine put it very nicely. just a little while ago when I showed him one of the recordings that we recently made. He said, well, isn't it amazing that something so beautiful can come out of such a disastrous illness? And that is something I really noticed, that it's really, yeah, it showed me a way to something that I used to really like and that I still do like very much, which is music.
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah, I always find it such a double thing, isn't it? Like something so beautiful has come out of something so horrible. Yeah, it's similar like with all those wonderful people that we've met through the choir, but because of long COVID. I mean, goodness. Yeah.
Yeah, and sometimes when somebody hasn't been there for 2 weeks, I really start to miss them.
Yeah.
I've never met them. I probably never will, but they really, yeah, they feel like a new kind of family, which is really, really nice and makes me feel supported in a way I didn't know before.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And sort of because we touched on this a little bit about the recording projects, because we sort of do them. It's nice to have a project to be involved in, if possible, if you want to, obviously, but also because we're seeing over Zoom, you can't generally we can't hear each other sing because it will be a bit of a mess over Zoom. So having those recordings that we make is a really nice way of still sort of hearing us together. And I just wondered, because you've done a few, I think, what does it bring you, and like how does that sort of, do you feel like it adds something on to the sessions, or what is your view on it?
I like practicing for the recordings in the sessions. I do not like the actual recording process, but I've never liked that, and I've done that a lot in the past. But something I think, Merel, I told you a while ago, in the beginning, I thought, well, couldn't we maybe find a different program to use, a different computer program to use for the choir sessions? We do them via Zoom, I think. There are so many programs out there now, and Zoom has a problem with latency, with sound latency. And there are, of course, professional programs that some are really expensive, some are not that expensive, that take care of that. And I thought, well, couldn't we maybe get that so we could really practice together, like I noticed some other choirs that I used to be part of do during the pandemic. But then it dawned on me that really it's good that we don't have that, because I think most of us grown-up choir participants had good voices before and are not capable of doing what they used to do. And now you can just really sing to your heart's desire and nobody hears it. You just hear yourself and it's fine. You can have a lot of fun with it. And then for the recordings, you hear all the others, and that's just lovely. And also one thing that I think, Merel, you haven't mentioned today is when we do recordings and it's a longer piece, you don't have to record everything. You can just record like 2 or 3 bars, if that's all you can manage. And Merel can still fit it in, and then you just can listen back to the recordings and hear the whole beautiful music, even if it was too much for you alone. So you see what this group of people can put together. Like, it only works because all of us participate.
Yeah, thank you for mentioning that. Actually, I'd forgotten about that part. Yeah, that's great.
Okay. Yeah, so
thank you. Is there anything else that you still want to mention that I haven't asked about?
No. Well,
cool.
Thank you for letting me share my part of the story.
That's okay. Thank you so much for being here. I really, really appreciate it. And exactly, yes, Claire, I was just going to ask, or yeah, see if there's anything that you wanted to add on as well, but you just put something in the chat. Thank you. Yes, all those links. I had them. I've got them in my PowerPoint too. That's, yeah, because actually that brings me to the other slide. Oh no, we're actually on the slide, sorry. The feedback from participants, which we just of course heard Marijke, but then Maddie, she mentioned that she loves the choir, and I think it's quite an important thing as well that she had an appointment with her asthma nurse, and that nurse was delighted that Maddie was singing, because it's so good for us and fun. And then of course Claire's comment as well. Claire, who started the choir. Thank you, Claire. Because actually I joined as well as a participant at first through Maddie, because Maddie still actually sings with the London Transport Choir, which I used to conduct before long COVID. And then I couldn't anymore, and Maddie told me about the long COVID choir, but quite early on in my illness, and I was not ready yet at all. And I was like, yes, Maddie, at some point. And then eventually I joined in as a participant. It was really, really, beneficial. And then I made the transition to leading it. Let's see if there's anything in the chat. I don't know if there's anything that I've forgotten to mention about it. Let me just have a quick think. Sorry, my brain is.
I just put in the chat that you've touched upon this, Merel, but I think there are very much physical as well as psychological benefits to singing generally, but specifically if you have long COVID. You've touched upon this, but just to reiterate, so both on the breathing and lung aspect, as well as the vagus nerve stimulation. It's probably a term that many of us had not heard of before long COVID, but lots of us get stuck in fight or flight mode in response to the virus. It can be chronic 24/7, 365 for years. So anything we can do to help calm things down has a lot of very physical benefits as well.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Claire. That's brilliant, because I think the next slide was going to be exactly about the benefits of the singing, which of course, as we touched on a lot, the emotional, psychological side, the social, strong sense of community, but then also on the next slide, I mentioned about physiological, so that singing strengthens the immune system. And what Claire mentioned about the body being in fight or flight, and of course the breathing, how those breathing exercises can really improve your breathing, especially like with the diaphragmatic breathing. And I noticed that my brain is going a little bit, getting a bit tired. And goodness, really,
I think you've covered a lot of the points, Merel. Okay. It's didn't want to talk over you, but equally wanting to help you if you're tired.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm sort of.
But yeah, breathing pattern disorder, which I think you mentioned earlier, or disordered breathing, is very, very common in long COVID. And indeed not necessarily only in long COVID, with people breathing more from their chest through their mouth, when really we should be breathing from our diaphragm and through our nose. So yeah.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Claire. And that's exactly what I was trying to get to. Yeah, and I think maybe adding on to that, I suddenly thought of this too, because of course we join from our beds, our sofas, we lie sometimes, but we also in the sessions take a moment to sort of get our body, let's think about our posture, not all the time. I mean, it's not a performance or anything, and it's tiring as well to have your body in an upright position. But we just think about that spine and I don't know about the others, but especially like being at home a lot more, and being connected to a screen a lot as well, which is tiring. You also tighten up in places. So again, those sessions are also just to sort of free up the body in that way, which just also help with her breathing really. And then I think the last proper slide was that I found some quotes about like benefits of group singing and also online singing. And again, as mentioned, everything that I'm sort of putting forwards in the session is all I found they've been researched and they come from research papers, or for example from the website Sing Up Foundation, and yeah, a lot about the social connectedness of singing together, but also I think one of the third points, the physiological benefits, like I just said, like better breathing, cognitive stimulation. Because also one of the things with having long COVID, that yeah, losing, not having the focus, many ways, like I'm doing now. And then there was something else that I found, which I thought was quite lovely. There was a research paper about online singing actually during the pandemic, and how it actually showed a medium to large effects actually on us, like on the group that they researched at online group singing. And just I think for me there's no doubt it's beneficial in many different ways, and that's why I'm so happy that I'm able to lead those choirs, and for the people that are able to come to the choir. And I really hope that with this seminar that we reach other people as well who might not have heard about our choir, and do feel free to spread the word really, because yeah, there's so many of us.
Yeah, just to chip in as well, just as put in the chat, exactly anything you can do would be very much appreciated. We're a bunch of ill volunteers trying to juggle other life commitments, like I'm trying to work as well as recovering and got sick kids, blah blah blah, and Merel's likewise juggling lots of things. So, you know, really we should be out there and probably on lists of social prescribers and all that stuff, but we just haven't really had the bandwidth to know exactly how to tap into that, certainly not nationally, given that we're not based in a specific local place, and that also means that we can't necessarily access funding because it's specific to a local place. We can't access certain types of funding, but again, it's not an area we've had the bandwidth to look into. So any tips on, or any places where you could perhaps share our link would be appreciated. I think a lot of people don't realise, because long COVID is an umbrella term, it doesn't mean anything specific in itself, as Merel mentioned. So people might not realise that because they've no longer been able to smell for a few years since they had some weird virus, that could be, that's a type of long COVID. So is terrible muscle pain or joint pain or nerve pain or GI issues. Sickness and diarrhea actually can be very common. And my son is doubled over and has been for the last 10 days with a flare up of his. So yeah, people don't realise, so they wouldn't seek out to join a long COVID choir necessarily, because they wouldn't, especially as they're not testing for COVID largely anymore. And I think some people think that the online choirs was something that happened in lockdowns and specific to lockdowns. But actually, there's very much an important role, as we've touched upon, for people who are unable to leave the house, or who can but need to prioritise shopping or going to work, and they have no more fuel in the tank for doing leisure activities outside of the house. So there's very much an ongoing role for choirs like ours, despite lockdowns being behind us. So yes, any help in spreading the word would be hugely appreciated. I'm going to put the link in the chat.
Thank you so much, Claire. And on that note, I would love for Manuela to share the slide with the outro, which has the YouTube link on it to a song that a long COVID choir recorded 2 years ago. It was the first song that I recorded with the choir, and it's called When We Sing. And I thought it would be a lovely, appropriate way of finishing my part of the seminar before Emanuela closes.
Sorry, I realised I was muted. Everyone else can see my screen, right?
We can see it, but I'm not sure if you
Okay.
press play.
Perfect. I'll just press play now.
We can't hear the sound.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can now.
Stop where you are. Just look around now. Breathe it in. Stop where you are. Just take a moment and look at what we've got. When we sing together, we can change the world for better. High, low, each voice contributes to our symphony. Unison, harmony, choose your own adventure. Come and sing with me. When we sing together, we can change the world for better. You and me, side by side, note by note, song by song. When we sing together, we can change the world for better. You and me, side by side, note by note, song by song. You and me, side by side, note by note. Stop. Just look around now.
Yay! Thank you.
Oh,
Oh, I
nice to
can
hear
see
that
you all
again.
on my screen.
That's lovely to hear that again.
Yeah. Thank you. Hi, Mariana. Nice to see you. I knew you were there. I hadn't said hi yet.
No, that's perfect. Thank you so much, Merel. I can see by the nodding heads that people quite enjoyed the session. This was really nice. Thank you so much for introducing us to the world. I mean, making us more aware of long COVID, its effects, and the work that your groups are doing. And yeah, I actually had a question that was more related to how people typically hear about the groups and how they can join. But you mentioned you had put a link. Yeah.
Yeah. So in terms of the kids choir, would it be an idea, because my brain is really freezing at the moment, if I email you the links and then you can include them or something in I don't know whether, because I know it's recorded, the sessions, I don't know whether it's going to be accessible on the website or something, and then you can add a link to
Yeah. Michelle.
Yeah.
I shared a link to the long COVID choir in the chat. I don't have one for the kids choir, I'm afraid, because I'm not involved in that one.
No, then I'll email that. But yeah, it's literally just I mean, so it's on their website, the booking link, and there's a support group, Facebook support group, and I do a lot of posting on. Yeah, I forgot to mention that, but I do a lot of social media. I post on Instagram and X and Blue Sky and LinkedIn, and I do a lot of emailing of magazines and newspapers, and I'm stalking basically. Well, that's what you need to do if you want to have people know about you. It's what I can do from my bed.
No, this was really fantastic. Thank you so much for your time. and for inviting the different choir participants to share their experiences as well. And does anyone else have any final questions before we leave Merel and Claire? No? Okay, that's okay. There are the links in the chat as well. So if we want to follow up with both of you, I'm sure we would be able to via the links. And when you're able to share the email, when you're able to email me the links as well, hopefully we can get that circulated. And who knows, you might be getting some new choir members.
Yeah.
No.
Everyone is welcome. Can I just say thank you also so much for inviting me, and also for those of you that came along today. I really, really appreciate it. So yeah, thank you.
We want not to have to exist, don't we, Merel? But sadly, because we do need to exist, we want as many people who might benefit from us to hear about us. So thank you. Huge thanks.
It's wonderful. Thank you guys so much, and have a lovely rest of the day. Please look out for the recording. Bye.
Thank you so much.
Thank
Bye.
you.
Bye.